Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Beyond the Field, presented by the Mustard Seed. So, some of you may be confused. This is James. Andrew, obviously. So, Beyond the Field is something that we wanted to kind of talk about athletes and the good they're doing for the community and just highlight that because we love sports.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've grown up with sports. Like Andrew and I and Ryan, we've been playing together kind of our whole lives. Wiffle ball, football in the backyard, things like that, and then watching sports too. So we have come to love these athletes that we're watching and rooting for. And Andrew had the idea of, let's talk about some of these great athletes in the context of faith and charity and
Yeah,
good
exactly.
works,
What they do for their community that they're in. There's so many
Yeah.
people that do such amazing work for their community.
Yeah.
And we're also it's not going to be, it's going to be a changing duo. Like 1 week Ryan could be here with James.
Right.
1 week my brother Jonathan could be here with Ryan or something like that.
Between regular Mustard Seed episodes, throw out a Beyond the Field episode. Kind of switch them up every once in a while. Keep you guys on your toes. Stuff like that. So today's athlete is J.J. Watt, I guess.
Yeah. And J.J. Watt, we can talk about what he's done on the field. Yeah. Just he's an amazing Hall of Fame player with over 102 sacks.
Yeah.
6 career touchdowns.
Which he's a defensive player. That's very impressive for a defensive player. Yeah.
And he was drafted in the first round, 11th overall by the Houston Texans. Right now he's on the Arizona Cardinals. Yep. And he is a workhorse when it comes to the field.
Word. Yeah, workhorse.
And he throws himself too he threw himself into his charity.
Yes.
Which is great. You have the name of the charity, right?
Yeah, the Justin J. Watt Foundation, which Justin for JJ. Like you said, he is a successful NFL player, Hall of Fame career, and he's decided to invest so much of his time and money into his community and into charitable works. So that foundation that we're talking about, they provide after-school opportunities for children in various communities, maybe schools or communities that don't have as much money as they need to fund after-school sport activities. His foundation kind of steps in and provides that for these kids that I'm sure, if you think of ourselves in that situation, if we didn't have the opportunity to play for our school, but then a foundation was able to pay for it, we'd be...
It's very important to, for people who want to just, even just be a hometowner or athlete and just, play and just do it for fun. It's very important of what he's doing for these schools. It's not just in Houston or Arizona. He's doing it all over. Mm-hmm. He has his hands in a lot of different honeypots with charity work, and the school one is amazing because he found a way during the pandemic to make sure everything was safe and that they can do it, and he donated his own money to make sure these schools can go about doing things the right way, the safe way.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, and like you were saying before, it creates a community of athletes, young kids that they're not superstars. Some of them most of them are just trying to play a sport for the sake of community and just being with their friends, being with their family, and so it's huge that he can give them that opportunity. He's done that, and he's gone above and beyond in many other ways of charity.
He's mostly most famous for, you could say, is Hurricane Harvey relief, and that is how he really was known as this charitable NFL player. With his doings, he won the Walter Payton Award in 2017.
Yep.
for everything he did. He raised over $37 million in it, to a point where FIFA was like, "You need help? Go to JJ," which is crazy to me.
Yeah, that's right. I can't think of the relief fund organization that was basically doing their best to help people that were hit by Harvey. Said, "We're kind of out of resources. Go to the Justin Watt Foundation."
Yeah, they were like, we're waiting to see what he does.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it was just incredible. So yeah, obviously he'd been doing foundation work before that, but then that happened, and that was a blow up moment for him and his work. For people to be like, "Wow, this guy doesn't mess around when he goes into something to help people out."
Yeah.
So yeah, just like unbelievable how much he was able to help and raise money to help rebuild homes and whatever they needed to do after the hurricane.
He rebuilt in a 2-year span 1,183 homes, and he served over 239 meals to people. That 239 meals to people, like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Just imagine, just like, say he couldn't, like, he's using the money for food and just to like get people the food for the shelter, and then he's rebuilt a lot of their homes. Just the food itself is like amazing.
Yeah, right. Just to be able to feed these people who are homeless at that point is great. But then to say, you know what, we're going to rebuild your house.
And that's where the foundation, the hurricane relief was like, oh, we're waiting to see what JJ's doing.
Yeah.
In fact, like, they were not as helpful as like a pro athlete was, who stepped up for the community that he wasn't born into. Like, he was an athlete that got drafted there, and he made it his home, and he felt a responsibility to do it. And just like that, to me, kind of like shines like the Christian, like, just like that, just like showing like those Jesus moments to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was curious. I was like, is JJ Watt Catholic? Is he Christian? But all I could find was that he's very private in his beliefs, and which is honestly even more impressive, that he's just such a humble guy to kind of keep to himself, but he has those values and those morals to know that God calls us to reach out to others and to help others when we are given so much. And he's been given so much. Great career, contracts, money, all of that. And he's taking it and saying, like, I know I need to use this for a bigger purpose.
And it's amazing.
It's great.
That's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And many people, don't really do that once they're given that opportunity. And I'm glad to see. That's the point of Beyond the Field, is just to highlight these athletes. Not that they even need it. It's just amazing, just so like like a little more about them. You can learn a little more about them. Like, one thing that touched me, like, when I was doing all this like research back in 2018 after a school shooting in Santa Fe High School, which left 10 people dead, Watt immediately like reached out and he wanted to pay for the funerals. Like, it hit him. And again, like, how many times have we heard of something like that, and like you just feel awful, and like he jumps and he does things, and like that is like the greatness in JJ. Yeah,
absolutely. And not knowing any of those families, or I don't know if he maybe had a connection to that town or that place or not, but regardless, he just jumped right into it and said, these people need help. They're mourning, and they need someone with, the resources that he had to help heal the wound, just even a little bit. And just incredible kind of compassion for those people, even as he's in the position that he is of NFL superstar, to still be humble enough to go down to these people's levels, whether people experiencing the shooting in a hurricane, to not
and even to recent of jumping in on the Dave Portnoy Small Business Foundation and raising over $19 million and helping. And then there's like also like he has these great stats on off the field, and then he has amazing stats on the field. One thing that he did in 2011 that I just found out like doing research upon him is like Watt had a pick six against the Bengals back in 2011, and he got them to their first ever playoff win. Like the first ever playoff win for a franchise.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of crazy itself as a stat.
Yeah.
And then just watching him like line up and just like kind of like thinking, oh, this is like a Michael Strahan type sacker.
Yeah.
And then he's like pulling a Gronk.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're Giants fans here, so that's the Michael Strahan reference for you. But so the Houston Texans are a fairly new organization, and so he's been one of maybe the biggest impact franchise player for them. And so he's, had, until he recently left for Arizona. But while he was in Houston, he was the guy, and he was carrying that team for so many years, and through injuries too. He's has so many stats, but in between all of those are countless injuries that he's had to fight through, and it kind of shows. It makes sense that he's a warrior on the field. He fights to put his team in a position to win, and off the field, he's fighting for these people that need help.
Yep.
So it all kind of makes sense when you look at his play on and off the field. It really correlates pretty well.
Yes, it does.
So
I hope that you guys got some light on this and see J.J. Watt, and you look him up if you don't know him, and you just follow him and support him. And if you want to donate to his foundation, look it up. It's the Justin J. Watt Foundation. He's doing great things with whatever you can donate. So thank you for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, and like you said, you can now, the point of this is to take these athletes, now you can watch them on TV and say, hey, I know that guy, I know what he's doing off the field, and appreciate them more. So good stuff.
Please subscribe and check out an episode of The Mustard Seed.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right. Peace out, guys.